What if a machine no bigger than a family car could silence a radar worth millions? What if a drone, designed not for one heroic flight, but for dozens of missions, could wear down a supply line until it collapses? And what if a small, almost invisible boat, drifting through misty canals, could release flying eyes into places no one thought to guard? These are not scenes from a science fiction movie. They are glimpses into a new era of warfare, where small, specialized machines can punch far above their weight. In this video, we'll explore three of them: Bober, the loitering munition; Punisher, the reusable UCAV; and Ursula, the unmanned surface vessel that can launch FPV drones. But we won't do it with technical manuals or endless data sheets. Instead, we'll mix clear analysis with short illustrative stories, fictional vignettes designed to show how these platforms might look and feel in action. Think of them as cinematic sketches, not battle reports, not classified secrets, but a way to picture what's at stake and why these devices matter. By the end, you'll understand not just how they work, but also what they reveal about the future. A future where cost, imagination, and agility can reshape the battlefield. So, let's begin with Bober, the loitering munition that embodies the idea of small strike, big effect. When most people hear the word drone, they picture a buzzing quadcopter bought online. But a loitering munition is different. Think of it as a flying hunter that can wait. Instead of dropping a bomb and turning back, it is the weapon. It circles, observes, and only dives when the right moment comes. The UJ-26. Bober has become one of Ukraine's most discussed loitering systems. It isn't built for dogfights or glamour shots. It's designed to travel long distances, linger in the air, and strike the parts of an enemy network that truly matter. It waits like a hawk circling the sky, then dives when the target blinks. It is just after dawn on a gray coastline. A radar station hums as its antenna sweeps across the sea, sending invisible beams into the morning air. Inside, an operator stares at a screen filled with static and routine echoes. To him, nothing is unusual. Above the horizon, a small silhouette hangs in the distance. To the naked eye, it might pass as a seabird, but through a camera lens, it is unmistakable: a Bober loitering munition. For nearly 20 minutes, it has circled quietly, patient, waiting. Suddenly, the radar dish turns slightly, creating a blind spot. On the operator's screen, a tiny blip appears, then vanishes. He frowns, taps the console, thinks it's a glitch. In that heartbeat, the Bober commits. It does not aim for the concrete walls or the heavy doors. Instead, it dives straight for the eyes, the spinning radar that feeds every defense system in the area. A flash, a shock wave, and then silence. The radar goes dark, communications stutter, and for a brief moment, a warship offshore is blind. The operator blinks at his screen, but there is nothing left to see. That scenario is not a report from the battlefield. It is a sketch to show how loitering munitions like Bober are intended to function. They exist because militaries need a tool that is both affordable and disruptive. Traditional cruise missiles cost millions. A fighter jet sortie is even more expensive and risks a trained pilot. By contrast, a Bober can reportedly be built for tens of thousands of dollars, yet can threaten equipment worth hundreds of times more. This imbalance, the cost curve, is the reason loitering munitions are reshaping modern conflict. Public information suggests that Bober can travel hundreds of kilometers, guided by GPS and optical systems. Instead of carrying a massive explosive payload, it uses a shaped charge warhead. Imagine a funnel that channels explosive energy into a jet of metal so concentrated it can pierce hardened surfaces. It doesn't need to flatten a building. It just needs to disable the critical component inside. And here's the key. Bober isn't just a fire-and-forget drone. It actually streams back a live video feed. That means the operator can see what's happening, guide it in, and even change targets if the situation shifts. It's flexible, and that flexibility is what makes it dangerous. Now let's clear up a couple of myths. First, no, these drones don't scream through the sky like supersonic jets. In reality, they move at modest speeds, built for endurance and smart navigation, not raw velocity. Second, bigger doesn't always mean better. A huge warhead isn't always what matters. In fact, a small charge, placed with precision on the right spot, like a radar antenna or a power hub, can cause far more disruption than just blasting away with brute force. At the end of the day, Bober proves a simple principle. Modern strikes aren't about hitting harder. They're about hitting smarter. The rise of loitering munitions forces defenders into a constant state of vigilance. A radar that once felt secure may now be vulnerable to a relatively cheap device guided from hundreds of kilometers away. To counter this, defenders must deploy more sensors, more jammers, more patrols, all of which are expensive. Strategically, this drains resources. A single Bober does not just destroy hardware, it compels the opponent to spread their defenses thin, protecting every radar mast, power relay, or command post. Ethically, the line blurs. These drones are built from parts not so different from commercial systems, raising questions about proliferation. What happens when technology designed for one conflict spreads to others? For now, Bober is a symbol, one inexpensive platform forcing major militaries to rethink their assumptions. But what if instead of burning itself out in one mission, a drone could return, refuel, and fly again? Enter Punisher. Not every drone is built to burn itself out in a single mission. Some are designed to come back, to fly again, to deliver pressure day after day. That's the idea behind a UCAV, an unmanned combat aerial vehicle. And Ukraine's Punisher is one of the most talked about. Its specialty? Reusability, swap payloads, adjust the mission, and send it back into the air. It's not a one-shot arrow. It's a boomerang. A small Ukrainian team watches a supply route. Through binoculars and static radios, they know something's moving. But they need eyes above. The Punisher lifts off, its wings slicing quietly through the dusk air. Within minutes, it finds the convoy. Trucks rumble along a narrow valley road, boxed in by rock and trees. The drone circles, capturing every angle, feeding live images back to the team. The operators spot a choke point, a single fuel truck in the middle. Hit that, and the whole column grinds to a halt. They give the command. The Punisher dives, releases its small charge, and the vehicle erupts in smoke. Chaos ripples down the convoy. But here's the twist. The Punisher isn't lost. It arcs away, climbs, and heads home. Hours later, after a battery change and a fresh payload, it's ready for another sortie. One platform, multiple missions, continuous pressure. Let's step back to the facts. Public reports describe Punisher as a small, fixed-wing UCAV with a wingspan of just over 2 meters. Its payload is modest, light explosives measured in kilograms. Not hundreds, but that's not its secret. Its value comes from endurance and repetition. Every mission provides intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, the ISR role, before striking. That means it doesn't just hit once. It scouts, strikes, and informs. It's a loop. Here's the big advantage of Punisher. It's reusable. Instead of building dozens of one-way drones, you can fly the same one again and again. Every sortie adds pressure, and over time, that constant presence wears down enemy supply lines and forces them to adapt. Now let's clear up a couple of myths. First, people say it's too small to matter. But in logistics warfare, it only takes one disabled truck to block the road and stall dozens more behind it. A single choke point can mean hours of delay. Second myth, if it's reusable, it must be cheap forever. Not exactly. Punishers still need maintenance, trained crews, spare parts. They're far less costly than big missiles. But sustainability is part of the equation. So Punisher isn't some giant killer making headlines with one dramatic strike. It's more like a scalpel, cutting again and again, deeper each time, until the wound really hurts. Punisher shows us the power of persistence. It's about attrition by repetition, wearing down an enemy, not in one dramatic strike, but through a constant drip of pressure. The ISR strike cycle is what makes it dangerous. Gather intelligence, make a quick hit, come home, repeat. That loop erodes confidence as much as it damages hardware. And psychologically, it gnaws at supply lines. Drivers know that, at any moment, an unseen drone could be overhead. Commanders know their convoys are never safe. The effect isn't just physical, it's mental. If Bobar is the hawk that dives once, Punisher is the mosquito that keeps coming back. You swat at one, and another appears. But not all drones come from the sky. Sometimes, the real surprise drifts in on water. Meet Ursula. Not every drone flies. Some skim across water. These are USVs, unmanned surface vehicles. Instead of wings or rotors, they use quiet hulls and small engines to drift where people least expect. Ukraine's Ursula is one such craft. Small, roughly a meter long. It's designed for rivers and canals, places too shallow or cluttered for ships. But Ursula's secret is what it carries: FPV drones. It glides in unnoticed, then launches eyes into the air. Like a Trojan horse on water, it delivers surveillance and surprise where defenders feel safe. The hour is just before dawn. Mist hangs low over a narrow canal. To anyone on shore, the water looks empty. But beneath the fog, a small black craft slides silently forward. Ursula. It drifts along the reeds, blending into the natural clutter. Then, with a quiet whir, a hatch opens. From its deck, a quadcopter lifts off. The tiny drone climbs above the tree line, its camera stabilizing as it clears the mist. On a monitor miles away, operators suddenly see what no patrol on the ground could: a hidden supply depot tucked behind warehouses, previously invisible from the road. The mission isn't to fight, it's to reveal. Ursula stays low, drifting quietly, as its flying scout feeds back the truth of what's hidden. Reports describe Ursula as a small, meter-scale surface craft. It's not armored. It's not fast. But it doesn't need to be. It's built for riverine operations, shallow waters, urban canals, and inlets where larger ships can't go. Its primary use is reconnaissance, slipping close to targets while avoiding the obvious air corridors. Once in place, it releases FPV drones, multiplying reach. Instead of launching from distant fields or exposed roads, operators can now get drones airborne from right under an enemy's nose. That's the real power of Ursula. It's not just some little boat drifting along. It's a mobile launch pad. And that means defenders can't just watch the skies anymore. They've got to watch the waterways threading right through their territory. Now, let's tackle a couple of myths. First myth: water drones are just toys. Not true. In shallow, cluttered terrain, they're actually stealthier and more practical than bigger craft. Second myth: surface vehicles are easy to spot. Again, not quite. Ursula's low profile, blending into reeds and narrow channels, makes it surprisingly hard to detect, especially at night or when the fog rolls in. So the real value here isn't heavy firepower, it's reach, and it's surprise. Ursula turns rivers into runways. By fielding USVs like Ursula, the battle space expands. Defenders must now guard not only the sky and the land, but also rivers, canals, and ports. Every new domain stretches resources thinner. For Ukraine, that means more options, more surprise. For Russia, it means scanning 3 environments at once, each one a possible doorway. Ursula proves that warfare is no longer bound to one domain. The threat can glide on water, rise into air, or strike from land, all converging at once. 3 different platforms, 3 different approaches. The Bober, a one-way strike that blinds sensors and cripples radars. The Punisher, a reusable UCAV, circling back again and again, applying pressure through persistence. And Ursula, a surface vessel that multiplies aerial assets, turning rivers into runways. Each is small, each is specialized. And together, they represent something bigger: the rise of asymmetric systems that challenge traditional power. The lesson here is clear. Warfare is no longer decided only by billion-dollar jets or massive ships. Sometimes it's the smaller, cheaper, smarter systems that tip the balance, forcing costly defenses to spread thinner and thinner. But there's another layer too: the ethics. When drones are built from commercial parts, when the line between civilian and military technology fades, where does it stop? Who controls what comes next? The truth is, the drone age isn't coming. It's already here. The question is not whether drones will shape the future. It's how we'll adapt. So, what platform should we explore next? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, hit like, share it, and subscribe for more stories at the edge of technology and conflict.